Cradlepoint is a solution provider that develops platforms. Excuse me, but that is a solution provider that develops on-premise platforms for fixed locations, vehicles, mobile devices, M2M devices, and then cloud-based applications and services for security, networking services, etc. We're about, just as an intro, we're about 430 people, and we are deployed in about 50% of the Fortune 100 companies. We've deployed 1.3 million units at a lot of the top retail locations, quick-serve restaurants, banks, insurance companies, branch offices. We're on every bus in New York City, so every bus in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. We're in every Redbox kiosk, etc. So we're very good at 4G LTE and very widely deployed. But what I wanted to talk about is specifically some of the things that have been driving our business in public sector, public safety, police cars, fire, ambulance, etc. So first of all, our solution is software-defined wireless and wireless WAN. So what we have found is that as the carriers have been investing billions of dollars into their wireless network, into the 4G networks, three things have come out of that. One is they're widely pervasive, so the footprint is for the target market we're going after, which is distributed enterprise, mobile enterprise, is a very good footprint. Second, the speeds, as you can see, are on the LTE are starting to rival what you expect from average speeds from the wired networks. And as a result, a lot of enterprises are looking at this saying this makes sense to use LTE in certain situations. The third thing I would say is these networks have been battle tested by smartphones and tablets. And as a result, I think generally accepted that these networks are very, very reliable. And in most cases, there's been some research that has shown that the wireless 4G networks are actually more reliable and more highly available than some of the wired networks. There's a lot of built-in redundancy to 4G. If a tower goes down, a lot of times a device can go to a different tower. If 4G goes down, a lot of the devices can fall back to 3G. So there's some built-in availability, built-in redundancy in those networks. So the second, major trend is you've probably heard software-defined networking in a lot of the trade publications and a lot of CIO conversations. I was at the Gartner IT Expo in Orlando, and the CIOs there were whole sessions talking about the role of software-defined networks, software-defined WANs in these. And what a software-defined network is the ability to essentially create a network that is not using traditional hardware. So if you have hardware in a data center, a lot of people have calluses on their hands from dealing with VPN concentrators, security appliances, etc. And that's what you call a hosted hardware model. You can have your own data center, or you can host it at a third-party data center, but it's very hardware-centric. And so a software-defined network is where you're essentially bringing up your network through an access network, and this access network can be wireless, it can be wired, it can be satellite, whatever access network you want to bring up there. Be able to bring that up into your own private network, and then be able to apply security policies, be able to supply intrusion prevention, intrusion detection, content filtering, and micro-segmentation of users. So on your private network, you can have different users have different roles, all being done through a very easy-to-use user interface. It's easy enough that I can do it, as opposed to having to have a Cisco CCIE do a lot of this configuration and scripts. So what Cradlepoint believes is that the combination of 4G LTE and software-defined networking is going to be very disruptive in this market. And if you are a CIO in an enterprise, I would say most enterprises, we look at the applications that they have and we put them into four segments. Most enterprises have fixed locations. Many enterprises have mobile applications. So these are vehicles, and this could be government entities like police cars. A lot of enterprises are adding IoT and M2M devices. So this is the digital signage that you see in the Bank of America lobby, for example. Or these are the kiosks that you see in the front. And then the fourth segment is our failover network. So these are the application areas that we focus on. And our approach is to take these different technologies, software-defined networking, 4G LTE, multi-WAN support, load balancing stuff, and apply those into a common platform and an overlay network that can be used in these 4 different quadrants that I talked about, or application areas. One thing to note on here is that the days of just going into a customer with a piece of hardware are over. They're looking for easier solutions, and you basically cannot implement this in a normal enterprise without having a combination of cloud-delivered services and the hardware that goes on-prem. So just working our way up from what Cradlepoint provides, it starts with the hardware. I mean, these are the on-prem or the in-vehicles. And again, these are in every Starbucks, every Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, every Bank of America, every Redbox kiosk, 4,000 buses in New York City. Basically, I'm going to talk about some of our UK deployments and police departments, but every police car in San Jose, California, every police car in Boise, Idaho. It's a variety of these applications, but it starts there. The second part of the solution is the WAN access and the access networks, and we are WAN agnostic. Most of our routers support multiple WANs. These can be combinations of wired or wireless, used for redundancy or resiliency, availability. We support Metro Wi-Fi as access. So what we do is we use those multiple WANs to get to the cloud. And this is the third part of the solution, which is the virtualized services. And Cradlepoint has always had a very strong management platform, cloud-based management platform that can manage our devices in real time. But we purchased a company named Pertino in the Bay Area, and Pertino is one of the pioneers of software-defined networking. And so as a result to our cloud-delivered services, we've been able to add network-delivered security, private networking, network-delivered security, and be able to basically create this environment that you can bring to these IoT devices. As part of the Pertino network, we now have a global overlay private network with 30 global points of presence. So if you're an enterprise and you're deploying either across the US or globally, now your devices can quickly log into the closest point of presence and be able to get on that network. And then finally, to support IoT devices and mobile workers, the ability to take the client and put it directly onto a laptop or directly onto an IoT device. For police cars, they want this client directly on the mobile laptop so that they can encrypt it even before it hits our router. If you're talking about Redbox and the embedded PC they have in there, they want to encrypt it directly on that embedded PC. So it's a popular model. So when we look at enterprises, the 3 ways that Cradlepoint is not trying to rip out the existing enterprise network. These are reliable networks that are built on a lot of Cisco equipment. They have highly trained people. But what we do is we're able to position ourselves with these enterprise networks to complement it with failover using 4G, to augment it with extra bandwidth or with parallel networking. If you're a bank and you have digital signage in your lobby, why would you put it on your secure financial network? So augment it. And then finally, to extend that to these mobile locations and vehicles. The adoption is significant. And so these are the customers that have used 4G LTE in those 3 areas as they extend that out. And it's heavy in retail, heavy in branch, heavy insurance. LTE as an enterprise WAN is mainstream. And adding that to the software-defined networking is important. So anyway, I'm going to cut this off a little bit early. I had a 40-minute presentation, and there was a little snafu. So I am going to stand in the back, and if people would like to hear the details of the connected car, I'd be happy to help. But any questions before we...
That's what I was just going to ask. Yep. If anybody had any questions. Anybody have a question? I do have one question.
Yeah.
So where do you see the adoption with police cars, and what's the biggest roadblock that keeps... It makes sense, but how do we overcome the traditional, we've always done it this way, kind of thinking to adapt your technology?
They came to their own conclusion. They used to use mobile USB modem sticks and put it in their ruggedized laptop. And that was their connection. What's happened in the police car is now they're adding different IoT devices. I'm looking for the body-worn camera. I may have left it on my restroom, the table at the restroom. Here it is. This is a body-worn camera. In a police car, this is Wi-Fi. There are dash cameras. The IoT, there's a shotgun sensor. If you pull the long gun out of the rack, you want to send an alert to operations. They've decided, the police departments have already decided they need to disaggregate the network from that laptop, create a separate network so that they can tie in the laptop, the video feeds, the IoT sensor, the sensor for the thermometer in the trunk so they can measure temperature of the sensitive equipment. It's actually a very, very compelling case for the blend of traditional enterprise and IoT, and that's our biggest growth segment right now.
We think time for one more question.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Who do you compete with that would be providing that solution? Is it homegrown, or is there other?
No, I would say we're in two worlds. The traditional enterprise world is the folks like Cisco and Juniper and Fortinet. And then on the M2M IoT side, it's our friends at Sierra Wireless, Digi, those folks. Our ability to combine the advanced, the Cisco world, the advanced networking and security with the M2M is what makes us unique. And in the police vehicle, they need the advanced networking. They need the Wi-Fi support. They need heavy-duty encryption. They need cloud-based management. So in that area, that's why we're doing very well there.
So he has time for more questions in the back. Thank you so much. And we introduce our next presenters.
Hey, thanks for your time, and I'll be here. So.